After World War I, Germany focused on the recovery of its economy, with a primary emphasis on the commercial air routes across the Atlantic. However, after the accident involving the Hindenburg airship, the transoceanic routes were temporarily abandoned. By the late 1930s, the German airline Lufthansa invited companies like Heinkel and Dornier to bid for the construction of large seaplanes, which led to the creation of the Bv222 seaplane. Following initial review, the Blohm and Voss company's design with 6 propellers was approved. The aircraft featured a boat-shaped fuselage with retractable float structures, a high-wing layout, and 6 Bv222 engines, each driving a pair of propellers. The engines were housed in a short nacelle at the front of the wings. In 1937, Lufthansa expressed a need to purchase 3 large seaplanes, initially named Ha-222. By the end of the year, Lufthansa proposed new design specifications, requiring the aircraft to carry 24 passengers or 16 passengers in a sleeper configuration, while also providing comfortable onboard dining services for transatlantic flights without external assistance. In January 1938, the construction of the V-1 aircraft began, which was a challenging endeavor due to the lack of prior experience in building such large aircraft. It wasn't until September 1940 that the V-1 was finally assembled and test-flown by Captain Helmut Vasa-Lodi. By this time, World War II had been ongoing for a year, and much of Germany's industry had shifted to military production, including the V-1 seaplane. As winter approached that year, many flight tests for the V-1 had not been completed, and the River Elbe had frozen, making it impossible to conduct further trials. Seizing this opportunity, the German Air Force proposed a long-distance test flight without wasting any remaining fuel. This so-called long-distance test flight was actually a military transport test, which proved successful in terms of transport capability. After removing the luxurious seats and amenities, and replacing the engines with approximately 1,000 horsepower BMW engines, the spacious cabin could transport 92 fully armed soldiers or 72 stretcher-bound casualties. As a result, the Ha-222 aircraft were all repurposed for military use and renamed as Bv222. The Bv222 large seaplane, nicknamed the Flying Vikings, began transport missions in 1941, completing 7 flights and transporting 65 tons of supplies and evacuating 225 casualties, covering a total distance of 30,000 kilometers with each round trip exceeding 4,000 kilometers. It proved its value in service. In 1941, the Bv222 seaplane was equipped with weapons, including 5 machine guns on the nose and sides of the fuselage, as well as gun turrets with single MG-131 machine guns. However, due to the limited production, only 7 aircraft were built, each with slight variations. They primarily undertook transport and patrol missions, especially in the Mediterranean area for transportation to and from North Africa. Some models were equipped with 20mm cannons for self-defense. Overall, the Bv222 seaplane weighed between 25.9 to 29.6 tons, with a payload capacity of 15 to 18 tons, a maximum speed of approximately 350 km per hour, a maximum altitude between 6,500 to 7,300 meters, and a maximum range of over 3,000 kilometers, with some specially modified for over 7,000 kilometers. Throughout World War II, the Bv222 remained the largest operational seaplane. In the later stages of the war, with Germany facing threats from both east and west, some followers developed the Operation Greenland, intending to secretly transport key figures of the empire to Greenland, and establish a base for future resurgence. However, given the dire situation in Germany at the time, the plan required not only the transportation of several key individuals but also a large amount of auxiliary equipment and basic supplies. The V-7 Bv222, which was under construction, was intended for this purpose. In April 1945, the Seaplane Test Center received the task for a long-distance flight and began preparing sleds, tents, and a large supply of food. However, by the end of the month, the plan was cancelled after the head of state committed suicide. In early May, the remaining personnel at the base destroyed the V-7 with explosives and fled with fake documents. Originally designed for commercial use, the Bv222 seaplane possessed the potential for long-distance transport. However, due to Germany's industrial capabilities at the time, it was not possible to mass-produce large aircraft like the Bv-222. The main challenge the Bv222 faced in operation was the lack of air superiority for the German military, especially over the Mediterranean. Even if Operation Greenland proceeded as planned, the large size and relatively slow speed of the Bv222 would likely have made it difficult to avoid detection during the long flight, and it would have been vulnerable to interception by enemy fighter planes. Nevertheless, the Bv222 remains a giant in aviation history. The U.S. military captured and repaired one for testing, gaining valuable technological insights from the aircraft.